I've always found dating in the digital era to be hard. At the beginning of 2020, I was on the apps, going on dates, partially for a relationship and partially because I had just moved to Chicago and I didn't know a lot of people. It was exhausting. I consider myself an introvert and it was really hard to constantly meet new people. There were some nice guys, but no one really clicked. There was always something killing the conversation.
A guy I'd actually matched with said his favorite donuts are from Whole Foods. Follow up on the guy from yesterday who said his favorite donuts are from Whole Foods. He agreed when I told him that ain't the point of donuts. So, should I go get coffee with him?
And then COVID-19 hit, and dating in a pandemic with face masks and virtual dates just seemed pointless. I was actually considering deleting all the apps, but I decided to give it one more weekend before calling it quits. Then I matched with Kevin.
I'd been on the apps for a few months, mostly just mindlessly swiping. I had conversations with some, but nothing that even seemed worth a date. With Julie, it was different.
We started messaging on Bumble at the end of March, when Chicago was starting to seriously shut down the city, and our conversations took off naturally.
And it was refreshing to get to know somebody so easily. Before we even had our first video chat, I had a good idea of who Julie is.
We had the most epic video dates.
Our video calls were anywhere from 4 to 7 hours. We talked about anything and everything, but what I remember the most is we would take notes throughout the day with questions we thought of, and then we would ask each other everything on our list. Some of the questions were serious and others were stupid, like, what's your perfect breakfast sandwich?
I think my favorite one was actually one of our first video dates, when we watched Detective Pikachu at the same time. His profile had been kind of bare and serious, but that night I got a good idea of how funny and goofy he really is. In April, Chicago was able to rapidly increase testing, and we thought maybe we were flattening the curve, so we decided to put on our face masks and meet up in person. We thought the most pandemic-safe plan would be to get donuts to go and walk my dog around the neighborhood.
I wasn't too nervous to meet up during the pandemic, because we were just taking a walk outside, open air, wearing masks and keeping our distance. But I was nervous for it being our first date. I was glad that our connections translated to in person.
We've basically been inseparable since then. The first time Kevin ever came over to my apartment, we built a fort in my living room, then made smoothies and popcorn and watched movies all day. That was just the beginning of making and ordering countless meals. And even with things shut down all summer and fall with the virus, we've gotten to do a ton of outdoor activities, like hiking at local parks, picnics by the lake, and golfing at the driving range. At the end of the summer, we were even able to take a little day trip to Michigan. We were able to stay outside the whole time, enjoying the lake and the fresh air.
One of my favorites was going and buying jam from a local farm and getting to explore my first corn maze.
Corn.
Oh, that's recording?
Yes, it's a video.
Oh.
But it's still difficult. After months of dating, we've never gone out to dinner, we've never seen a movie in theaters, we haven't gone to a concert or a party or celebrated any milestones in the way we used to before the pandemic.
The pandemic has affected how we approached our relationship. We've had to talk to each other a lot. We've gotten to know each other on a much deeper level than we would have if we'd been going out all the time.
I think the hardest part for me has been not being able to meet each other's friends and families. It was such a bummer that when Kevin met my parents for the first time, we were sitting in our cars in a parking lot facing each other and talking through Bluetooth.
I wish I could have introduced Julie to my parents by now, but it's just not safe enough to drive down to Mississippi, much less fly there.
I was afraid coronavirus would make it so much harder to date, but we've made it work.
What?
What?
The pandemic has encouraged us to do activities we otherwise wouldn't have.
I'm not sure if we would have bonded the way that we have if it weren't for the pandemic.
I finished my croissant. You know what time it is?
1:30?
Movie time!
Hi.
Am I like the best cartoon character ever?
I'm looking forward to our future and getting to experience new things together.
This year hasn't turned out anything like I thought, but I don't think I ever could have imagined falling in love with someone as wonderful as Kevin. I wish it was safe enough to celebrate the holidays together with our families this year, but I know we have many more opportunities in our future. Until then, we'll weather the rest of the pandemic safely indoors together.